I never thought the day would come when I'd have to tell him. Not truly, not in my bones. We'd made it 25 years. Silver. Just us in our little house. The one with floorboards that groan like old friends, and a hallway lined with photos of who we used to be. That stubborn lilac bush out front still hasn't bloomed, no matter how much I prune it. But we don't care. We're past needing flowers to prove we're alive. We opened 2 bottles of champagne. Cheap stuff. Too many bubbles. The kind that stings your nose and makes your eyes water if you laugh too hard. But it was ours. And for a few golden hours, the world outside didn't exist. It was just him, my husband, grinning at me over the rim of his glass, his hair more silver than brown now, his hands rough from years of fixing things I couldn't. He reached across the coffee table and took my hand. Still warm, still mine. Honey, he said, voice soft with wine and memory. After all these years, be honest with me. Have you ever cheated on me? My breath caught, not because I was guilty in the way he feared, but because I was guilty in the ways love sometimes demands. I wanted to lie. I wanted to kiss his forehead and say, "Don't be silly. You're the only man I've ever loved." I wanted to wrap that lie around us like a quilt and sink into our twilight years untouched by shadows. But I looked into his eyes, those kind, trusting eyes that have watched me age from a trembling bride into a woman who's buried both her parents, raised 2 children who now live oceans away, and learned how to sleep alone on nights he's snoring too loud. And I knew if I didn't tell him now, I never would, and he deserved the truth, even if it shattered us. So I took a breath, felt my heart hammer like it did the first time I said yes to him on the rainy June day in 2000. Since you're asking, I have 3 times. His face. Oh God, his face crumpled like paper in a fist. Not with anger, not even with betrayal, but with confusion, with fear, like a child who just realized monsters are real. 3 times? He whispered. 3 times? I nodded, couldn't speak. My throat was full of glass. Let me explain, I managed. Please, let me explain. He sat back, didn't let go of my hand, but his grip loosened, like he was bracing for a storm he couldn't see coming. The first time, I began, was right after we got married. You remember? You collapsed at the reception. You thought it was just champagne and dancing, but your lips turned blue, and they rushed you to the hospital. They told me you had a congenital heart defect. Needed surgery immediately. But we had no insurance, not a cent saved. Just student loans and a hand-me-down couch. I looked down at my wedding ring, still on my finger, still gleaming after all these years. The surgeon, Dr. Langford, he was kind, but firm. The hospital won't approve it without payment, he said. Not for someone your age with no assets. I swallowed hard. I went to his office that night, alone. Sat in that cold, sterile chair with my new wedding dress still on, stained with champagne and tears, and I offered him something else. I told him I'd do anything to save you. He didn't touch me, not like you think. He just looked at me for a long time, really looked, and then said, "Go home to your husband, the surgery's approved." But years later, I found an envelope in your old briefcase, after you got your first real job. It was addressed to Dr. Langford. Payment in full, plus interest. You'd been sending him money every month for 10 years. You never told me. His eyes filled then. Not with accusation, with awe. The second time, I continued, softer now, was when you were passed over for that promotion at the architectural firm. You'd worked your fingers to the bone on the Harborview project, slept in the office for weeks. But they gave it to Mark Ellison, the boss's nephew. You came home that night and sat at the kitchen table for hours, just staring at your hands, like you didn't recognize them anymore, like you'd failed me, failed yourself. I couldn't bear it. So I called Mr. Callahan, the CEO, asked if I could discuss your future. He said yes, too quickly. I wore that red dress, the one you always said made me look like fire. I met him at his club after hours, sat across from him in that dim wood-paneled room that smelled like cigars and old money. He poured me a glass of bourbon I didn't drink. "You're a beautiful woman," he said. "Your husband's talented, but talent isn't enough in this world." I didn't sleep with him. I didn't have to. I just leaned forward, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "If you don't give my husband that promotion, I'll tell your wife about the intern in accounting, and your son at boarding school, and the offshore accounts." He paled, didn't say a word, just nodded. 2 days later, you got the job, the raise, the corner office with the view of the river. You came home dancing, lifted me up, kissed me like I'd hung the moon, and I just held you, pretended my hands weren't shaking. Now, the third time. This one's the heaviest, the one that sits in my gut like poison. You remember 2 years ago, when you ran for president of the Oakwood Baseball Club? You'd been volunteering there for decades, coaching Little League, fixing fences, buying new gloves for kids who couldn't afford them. You loved that place. It was your sanctuary after the kids left, after I retired, after the silence in this house grew louder every year. You campaigned hard, shook every hand, kissed every cheek, but on election night, you lost by 53 votes. You came home and didn't say a word, just sat on the porch swing, staring at the stars like they might give you answers. I knew you felt invisible, like your whole life had been spent giving and no one noticed. So I noticed, and I couldn't let you fade. I went to every single person who didn't vote for you. One by one, Mrs. Callahan from 4B, whose dog you walk every Tuesday. Mr. Ruiz, who you helped rebuild his garage after the storm. Even Pastor Jim, who you drove to chemo for 6 months. I didn't threaten them. I didn't bribe them. I just reminded them. Remember when he stayed up all night helping your son with his science project? Remember when he shoveled your driveway during the blizzard, when his back was still healing? Remember how he showed up at your daughter's wedding when no one else from the club did? I didn't ask them to lie. I just asked them to remember your heart. And one by one, they agreed to change their vote in the runoff. 53 of them. You won by 1 vote. The night you found out, you cried. Actual tears of joy. You held that stupid plastic trophy like it was the Nobel Prize and said, "They see me, sweetheart. They finally see me." And I held you while you cried. And I wept too, because I'd done it again. 3 times. 3 times I gave pieces of myself, my dignity, my silence, my truth to protect your light. Now, here we are. Champagne gone flat, 25 years written in the lines on our faces. He didn't speak for a long time, just stared into his empty glass like it held the answers. Then, slowly, he reached for my hand again. His fingers were cold. "Did it hurt?" he finally asked, his voice raw. "Any of it?" I thought about it, really thought. "Not the way you think," I said softly. "It hurt that I had to do it, that the world was so cruel you needed me to fight in shadows while you stood in the sun. But loving you, that never hurt. Not once. He pulled me into his arms then, tight, like I might vanish, and I let myself melt into him, the man who's seen me at my worst, my oldest, my most tired, and still calls me beautiful. I'm sorry, he whispered into my hair. I should have protected you too. I shook my head. You did. Every day. By being you. We sat like that for a long time, not talking, just breathing together. Because love isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's messy, sacrificial, full of secrets you carry so someone else can walk lighter. But if I had to do it all again, in a heartbeat, because you're worth every tear, every lie, every silent night I spent wondering if I'd gone too far. You're my husband, my best friend, my first and last love, and if wrinkled hands and tired eyes are the price of 25 years with you, then let the wrinkles come, with mirth, with laughter, with truth,